All right, welcome back to the Unwritten Rule presented by FanDuel. Today is Saturday, October 11th at roughly 7 p.m., 6:30 p.m., depending on how fast I get this uploaded. It is the instant takeaways, not so instant takeaways. Me and Payton have had a chance to kind of stew on this game a little bit for a couple hours since it ended between Mizzou and Alabama. Mizzou losing 27-24 at home. It's the Tigers' first loss of the season. And, it's a bit of a tough one to swallow. Very weird game. To me, it was a lot more of kind of grimy and clunky at times, certainly for Mizzou. And we're going to get into that, Payton. I have some winners and losers from it like I usually do, but I also just wrote down a couple of overall like talking points and some stats to hit on as well. But I was reading through your tweets throughout the game, and what I gleaned from that is I think, and you and I didn't really talk much during the game. We did loosely in a group chat, but I think you and I have a very similar feeling coming away from this. Missouri losing by 3 to Alabama. It was kind of a prove it game and a test that the Tigers failed, and we're gonna kind of get into who that's down to, but I think unfortunately the guy we have to start here with Payton and the guy that I do have him in my losers of the game, as well as just kind of the overall big talking point is the quarterback for Missouri, Beau Pribula. This was, I think, pretty easy to say a first major test failed for him. He ended up finishing the game 16 of 28, 167 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He also had 11 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. I think it's worth noting he was at 97 passing yards before that final touchdown drive from Mizzou where they went 75 yards on all passing plays, when they had to go down the field quickly, down 10. So I think to me, and from what I was reading about with you posting during the game, I think you kind of agree with this as well. I think this loss sort of falls on him. It's, you can talk all day long about how it's not completely on one player, but I think he failed to kind of step up to the task in a game where Mizzou's running game was completely bottled, as Alabama, to use your words, sold out to kind of stop it. I think that's the best place to start was Beau Pribula. He was thoroughly disappointing today, Payton.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree. I felt like it had kind of been bubbling for a few games now. I really think that we were overlooking just how bad like the interceptions he had thrown in the last few games had been. He's had a bit of a ball carrying problem too. I mean, he's fumbled a few times. He fumbled in this game and got away with it. But yeah, I mean, Ahmad Hardy looked like a human being today outside of Jamal Roberts having one big run. You really weren't getting into much of a rhythm in the run game. And that required, I know people can say maybe you should stick to the run. I will say I don't think Kirby Moore had a very good day either. I will definitely agree with people on that one. I didn't think it was his best stuff. So many outside zone runs to the short side of the field. There was one drive in particular that they started with passes on first and second down. I think it was right after Alabama's field goal in the second half to make it 20-17. But at the end of the day, I mean, Bama knew what its weakness was. Mizzou knew what its weakness was. And Bama was not going to let Missouri just come in and run the ball down its throat. They sold their soul out to kind of make sure that Ahmad Hardy didn't take this game over. And with the exception of one Jamal Roberts run, I think they did a really good job, especially after the first drive. And when that happens, Beau Pribula's got to be ready to step up and go. And I just was not impressed. He had a great throw to Brett Norfleet on his first throw of the game, and then I mean they had like I don't even know I don't even know if they had more than 50 yards passing by halftime. And he got
I think it was
46.
It was 46 at halftime.
And 26 of those came on his first throw of the game. Beau Pribula was just not good in this game. He was pretty bad. 2 interceptions, both of which were really bad.
Both of which were also like the same play design that it was the seam route that just wasn't there, and he threw it, straight
Yeah.
to a defender. That was the most frustrating part of both of those for me.
Yeah, to me, I mean, if that's what you're going to get out of Beau Pribula the rest of the way, as the schedule is very tough now, um, you can probably kiss the playoffs goodbye. I mean, it just was not close to good enough. Um, him and Kevin Coleman just couldn't get in sync. Coleman had one catch, and it was that little design flip to him. They got kind of dinged up on, I think. They saw him kind of on the bike on the sideline. Yeah, Beau Pribula was not good throwing the ball today. I don't think you can really come away thinking anything else. That last one in particular, the last throw of the game, is going to be the one that is highlighted most because the read he made, it wasn't, I guess, the worst read ever. I mean, he would have had Olabode with a good throw. But you look over to the side, I mean, I think it looked like a flat out busted coverage. Because Marquise Johnson was completely open on that side of the field. I mean, I don't want to say it could have been 6. Someone probably is able to run him down, but you probably are well within field goal range, and I think you have a chance to go and win the game if Beau Pribula is able to get the throw to Johnson. But that didn't happen. Beau, for a lot of his time here, has looked mostly like a one read and then panic quarterback, and that's kind of what happened today. Alabama did a great job of kind of causing some havoc up front, and Beau did not respond well to it. I didn't think. I'm sure he'll learn from this. It was never going to be smooth sailing with a guy making his first career start, but it's painful because Beau Pribula did not have a good day. The running game was not in rhythm. He had really terrible penalties throughout the day, and he still had a really good chance to go out and knock off Alabama. It's tough. It's a big time what could have been, but that's just it is what it is. Beau Pribula will have to learn from this and get better from it. Otherwise, Missouri will fall pretty well short of what I think they're capable of achieving.
Yeah, the how he learns from this is kind of, if you want to put the positive spin on it, in terms of the way you look at this team, and the fine line between being a 9-win football team and being a 10-win possible playoff football team, is probably the growth that he makes from this. Because yeah, I mean, Missouri showed it was a team that can't get it done on offense without Hardy having, a really explosive day. And yet you're right, where you still have this kind of weird feeling of it was a 3-point game in the end, and Missouri was in a position to win it. And you look at it really did highlight the differences in quarterback play. Alabama, save for that 29-yard first down pickup on 4th and 8, that essentially won them the game. That was their longest play. And we came in so worried about how Ty Simpson was going to maybe dice this defense up. And he didn't really. I mean, Ryan Williams didn't have a catch. There wasn't any major explosive plays, but Ty Simpson, made the throws and made the right reads when it counted, and Beau Pribula didn't, and that ended up being a huge difference in the game, along with some of the other stuff. I think you also hit the nail on the head, where I do kind of put this a little bit more on Beau, but I think you're right. Excuse me, I think you're right. Kirby doesn't. I don't think Kirby can dodge some blame for this. There was some really weird play calling. You're totally right about all the short side stuff. I didn't understand that. Missouri was going weirdly fast. That brings me to the tempo thing. I mean, we came into this, kind of with the idea that Missouri, if they could kind of control things and keep the ball and possess it more, they could really have a shot to win this game. I thought Alabama totally took that over. They had the ball for 38 minutes and 33 seconds. Missouri only 21 minutes and 27 seconds, and yet still in a position to beat the team, or to beat a top 10 team. I think we should get this out of the way. It was a fucking miracle this team wasn't down 24-3 at halftime, given how that went too. And then was able to come out and make a statement to kind of start the second half. Yeah, I think it is totally a little bit of an opportunity wasted. I have some other stats I'll throw at you, Payton. Missouri The rushing yards was interesting. Missouri had 163, Alabama had 125. I'll tell you, I think you and I can both agree it felt like a hell of a lot more than that with the way it felt like they're running the ball. Missouri came in number one in the country. They were giving up just under 63 yards a game. So Alabama doubled them up there. First downs, Missouri had 15, Alabama had 22. And then this was the biggest one for me stats wise. On third down, Alabama was 6 for 15, 40%. Missouri 1 for 10 on third downs. They came in at 60%, which was also the best mark in the country. So just a lot to glean there. I kind of other thoughts on the negative, because I don't think we can talk about this exclusively without talking about a few positive things in a 3-point loss to a really good team. But anything stand out to you about those stats? Other things you wanted to bring up, maybe especially on the offensive side? Oh, I was going to ask you this: the two situational things at the end of the game with the Jamal Roberts fake punt, they go for it, don't get it. Then you had the onside kick after Missouri scores the touchdown. Alabama even calls a timeout, lets them think about it. They still trot Robert Meyer out there, and it's a kind of a lame duck onside kick attempt. What did you think of those decisions? Because I know they got some mixed reviews.
I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't have gone for the onside. You kind of, I mean, what? You improve your field position by maybe 15, 20 yards.
Yeah.
If you don't, I don't really think that made much of a difference.
Yeah,
They
if
got the
Meyer
stuff
could
they
kick it out
needed.
of the end zone, you might have a
Yeah,
different conversation. But
they weren't going to kick it off out of the end zone. Sure, Bama punts it. You get it at what, your own? I mean, where'd Missouri start that last drive? Their own 18 or whatever.
yeah,
They
yeah,
probably at best are starting at their own like 30, 35 if they kick it deep, assuming Bama doesn't have a pretty awful punter like a certain team in this game did. Um, so I don't think it would have made that much of a difference. I was fine with them trying it if they felt like Meyer could potentially do it. Um, they got the ball back anyways with more than enough time to go down and get in field goal range. The fake punt, I'm a little torn on. Did they score the touchdown after the fake punt? They did.
yes.
I don't know. I mean, the fake punt. I mean,
The
they
fake punt,
still
the next drive after the fake punt was the defense got that 3rd and 29, and then that turned into the
third and
touchdown.
23.
Yeah, 3rd and 23.
I really had more of a problem with the 3rd and 23 coverage. I thought it was too soft. I'm not gonna dog on the defense too much. I thought they were the better unit in this game by a country mile. I mean, if you had told me they held Ty Simpson to 200 yards on 31 attempts, I would have assumed Missouri won this game, and probably pretty handily. They wound up tightening up against the run. I know Jam Miller got hurt and kind of a scary looking injury too, but Mizzou did tighten up against the run down the stretch. They were losing in the run game like I had never seen them lose it this season for a lot of the game, but they did really well down the stretch. Um, I don't know. I didn't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people discussed the 4th and 8 should Drink have called timeout. That was the best throw of the day for Ty Simpson. I mean, the play call worked. Everybody was blanketed. It was great coverage from Toriano Pride. Simpson just made a ridiculous throw. There's times where you just kind of have to throw your arms up and go whatever. That felt like one of them.
I agree.
The fourth
I think
and one,
he just made a play. I
yeah,
don't
the
know what
fourth
more
and
Missouri was
one
doing.
was again. I mean, it was a good play call. I really don't know how much calling a timeout would have made a difference. Maybe you have your guys a little more prepared for that type of play, but I don't know. I felt like there were a lot of missed opportunities in general that didn't have to do with play calling situations. I mean, if they call a timeout there on either of those 4th downs, they don't have that timeout for the end of the game. I'm sure that was weighing on Drinkwitz. And again, I thought the 4th and 8 defensive play call worked. It was just a great player, a great quarterback made a great play. I mean, that's just really all it comes down to. At the end of the day, I think the offense is more squarely to blame than anything else. I mean, the special teams were not good. Again, I mean, they almost had Robert Myers' field goal get blocked. They had
It
4.
did.
Did it get blocked?
I think it got tipped and went
I don't
through
think it
because
did. I think Robert Meyer just has no leg.
I think it because the way it came off his foot, it looked to me like it was normal,
It
and then
looked like
I think the guy,
he was just kind of chipping his. I don't know.
I think it
Maybe
got
it did.
touched.
Either way, it was
Either way, it's
horrible.
bad. Yeah.
Um, and I think the punts were so bad today, so bad.
Do you want his stats?
I saw he averaged like 37 yards a punt, Wesselman.
It was 34 and a half, 4 punts, 138 yards total, 34 and a half per
Yeah,
punt.
that's even more. He was horrible. Absolutely dreadful day for Connor Wesselman. But the offense, I really think, is kind of what it comes down to. There was no passing attack, couldn't get in rhythm in the run game, could not sustain a drive. That was a huge difference. Just could not keep themselves on the field, even if you didn't score. Just pick up a few first downs, and they couldn't do that. It was just a bad day.
Yeah, I think the offense fed into a lot of the defensive, the things that the defense ended up giving up. I think was down to they were on the field more than they ever were in a game this year, and that certainly didn't help as it went on, and Alabama was kind of able to pick them apart. But that's where I do want to segue like into some of the positives of this game, like this this front seven for Missouri is excellent, and I think should still be greatly appreciated by those who enjoy watching this team because when I was writing down my winners, I have and you could probably add a few more on here. I have 4 on defense and 1 on offense. And I thought the game plan was there and was executed pretty darn well by Missouri's front seven, by its pass rush. They sacked Ty Simpson 4 times. And it felt like they got a fair amount of pressure on him. The winners I wrote down in particular from the defense, Payton. Damon Wilson is a monster. He had 3 tackles and 2 sacks. That guy just loves getting into the backfield. Josiah Trotter, 8 tackles that led the team, 2 quarterback hits for him as well. Khalil Jacobs had 7 tackles and a sack. He made his presence felt. And then this is the controversial one, which, maybe we can say, maybe it feeds back into some of the negatives that you touched on with the penalties. I did throw Zion Young in there because he had 2 tackles, a sack, and the forced fumble, and that was just such a huge play to start the second half. I thought it maybe offset the unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, but to go back to those, Peyton, it's funny you mentioned just how severe they were. This team had 4 penalties in the game. They were all in the first half, and yet they did feel like such backbreakers. You had the unsportsmanlike conduct when Alabama should have been punting after its first drive in 4 plays from its own 9-yard line or wherever it was. You had the offsides later on the 3rd and 5. They had the targeting, of course, that Marvin Burks was ejected for. And then the offense actually only had 1. It was 1 holding on Dominic Jadis. But it felt like this team had double that amount of penalties with how just severe they were in the moment. So I don't know if you have any more thoughts on that, but to go back to the defense, I thought Zion Young made up for it as best he could with that big play to start the second half. And I think this front seven is great. I think it's elite, and I think it showed despite the loss.
Yeah, again, I think the defense actually played really, really, really well. They held Ryan Williams without a reception. I think I said before the game, going into the game, the best thing Missouri's defense can do is kind of get those pass rushers going and make Simpson uncomfortable. And my God, did they do that for a lot of this game? Damon Wilson is someone that you'll see playing on Sundays. Just a ridiculous ball player. I mean, he was manhandling whatever tackle he was lined up against. Young did have a good game. He had a very good second half. He's just got to be smarter on that first drive. I really didn't even think the secondary, for the most part, played bad. There was just a lot of Ty Simpson making ridiculous throws. I mean, Toriano Pride had great coverage on that 4th and 8.
I agree.
Just an insane throw. I thought Stephen Hall had a bad game. I will say that he was not good today. I thought dropped a pick on the first drive that I thought he could have handled. I actually thought Catalan made a couple nice plays.
He had the one rush. He like blew up a play behind the line of scrimmage. I
Yeah, and
think I wrote it down.
he chased Simpson out of bounds before he could scramble for a first down. Yeah, I thought the defense, when you consider everything, the offense just not giving them any time to breathe, really, just going really quick off the field. Couple really horrible 3-and-outs. I thought the punting unit was just atrocious. It set Missouri up with fields all day. And the defense, I mean, if they get one stop, I mean, just one pass breakup or something, just a few less yards on that 3rd and 23. I mean, we're talking about they only gave up 6 or maybe even just the field goal in the second half. I thought they were excellent. I really did.
Bonus shout out to Jalen Marshall for tackling Caden Proctor. That turned into a field goal. That was a
Yep,
touchdown
that
saving
wound up
tackle.
that would have been a highlight on every single station in America, and Jalen Marshall saved it. So
Yeah,
thank you very much, Jalen Marshall.
yeah. Credit to him. My one winner on offense, Payton, was Donovan Olubade just for coming alive in that last drive. That guy you tweeted it. That guy needs to play more. In an ironic thing where, I remember saying on Owen Barnes' podcast, who does the Believe in Alabama show. And I remember saying one pro about Beau is that it feels like he trusts so many of these receivers. And in a game, in a kind of ironic twist, it didn't feel like that at all, where, you said it felt like he was making his one read or panicking and not really looking for, a multitude of guys. But, Donovan Olubade kind of emerged as that one guy at the end there. And he's great. I think he will be a great player for this team for years to come. Here's my one winner on offense. Do you have any other winners from this game? Anyone else you can take anything positive from?
No, Olubade and Damon Wilson were my 2 big ones. Khalil Jacobs, I think we'd mentioned him. He
Yep.
was pretty good today. Um,
Sterling Webb had some nice plays.
I thought Norfleet was good.
Yep. Had
That's about
the
it.
touchdown. Losers, Beau Pribula, we've talked about him ad nauseum. I threw Ahmad Hardy in, not necessarily on his own doing, but just because, he kind of, I think I saw it was a athletic article that he kind of lost the Heisman battle with Simpson. They just weren't able to get him going. 12 carries, 52 yards. I put Ryan Williams in the losers from Alabama's side of things. It's open up. It's a both teams thing. It's not just Mizzou. He had no catches. It's, what we hear all
Yeah.
this glowing stuff, and Mizzou limited him. And then the other guy, Payton, and you touched on it briefly. For me, was in the receiver room was Marquise Johnson, 3 catches for 26 yards, and the only thing people are talking about is his kind of body language at the end of the game on that missed throw. There is a sect I've seen of people that are sort of sympathetic in the sense that it's kind of I would be mad too if my quarterback missed me while I was sitting wide open. You mentioned it, that some people thought he could have maybe turned it up the field and scored, or at the very least gotten them into field goal range. At the same time, you can't excuse those things. You can't. It's a sort of embarrassing thing to have seen, I think. From one of your players that is a consistent contributor. You can't have that kind of body language. To me, it's similar with the Zion Young penalty at the beginning. You just have to be smarter, and it's not a good look. As much as I think you put it perfectly, it was a frustrating day for the offense as a whole. Certainly a frustrating day for a guy like Johnson, who's so explosive and can be unleashed, and certainly knows how talented he is. And I don't want to harp on him too much as a player, but it's obviously just tough when a moment like that happens, because it is going to go viral and kind of be seen everywhere. And so that's something they'll have to kind of nip in the bud, I'm sure, this week.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was very frustrating, I'm sure, especially for him in a game like this where you have a chance to really put the program, put yourself on the map, really, really plant your flag nationally. And Bo missed him a lot in this game.
Yeah.
There's that really nightmarish, I don't even remember if it was like the second or third drive, but Bo is rolling out to his right. I mean, it's just, I mean, wide open, doesn't even begin to explain what Marquise Johnson was, and Beau just sailed the throw way out of bounds. It was frustrating. And again, emotions when you're trying to go down and win or tie the game at least. It's gonna get the better of you, but you do have to be. You can't do that. Like, your quarterback's not trying to miss you. He's not trying to throw an interception. It just happens, and it's not a good look. But again, I don't think it'll be a long-term problem. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Just to me, more of a guy that wanted to be competitive and win more than someone upset that they didn't get the ball per se.
Yeah, I'll spin it like this too. I think Marquise Johnson articulated how every Mizzou fan felt just kind of watching this game because of how it went, where it felt so frustrating for 95% of it, and yet Missouri was still in a position to go win it. And with that, I'll get your kind of final thoughts. Anything else you wanted to touch on, and then where's your panic meter lie with this team now? 5-1. With a narrow loss to a very good Alabama team. Where I'll do a 1 to 10 scale on your panic meter for them.
I'll kind of put it at like a 3.5 right now, mostly because I can't overreact to a loss to Alabama. But at the same time, if Beau Pribula looks like that for the rest of the year, I don't see a way Missouri does any better than 9-3, which will of course not put them in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I think yeah, 3.5 or 4. This is a, they have put themselves in a situation where it is how you respond. There was still some good in this game, but yeah, I think you're right. It is kind of on the shoulders of Beau Pribula to see truly how far this team's ceiling can be, and it feels so nitpicky to say 9-3 and 10-2, but we all knew this going into the season. That is the difference between being a playoff team and not being a playoff team, being got a good bowl team. And Mizzou wants to be a playoff team. And it is a bummer to see them kind of fail that first test in terms of proving to the rest of the SEC, whatever you think of this team, whatever you think of this program, it's tough to see them kind of fail that first test and knock off this good Alabama team that, frankly, with the way they won this game, there's some things I'm thinking about them in terms of how far they can go. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, Payton. A tough pill to swallow, I think. But Missouri's got to respond. There's plenty of season left. There's plenty of good still to come, possibly, if this team wants to go out and grab it. There's a lot of winnable games and resume boosting games to go. So with that, we'll wrap it up. Payton, I'll give you this note because you and I are recording this Saturday. It's going to be probably like 7 by the time this gets uploaded. One of us today will be 1-1. Payton, put it that way for our teams. One of us will be 1-1.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
The other one will be 0-2 and probably heartbroken. But
yeah,
we'll see. Best of luck. We will be back Monday. We'll do some there's some we didn't talk at all about the offensive line really, and I think it'll be good to do that Sunday because there's some PFF stuff that'll be interesting to dissect with this game. That'll kind of quantify it a little bit more. We will do that for Monday. We'll be back with Kenny. We'll get his read on the game. He was of course there in the press box, and we'll get his take on some things as well. So there you go. There's some reactions. Mizzou loses to Alabama. First loss of the season for Mizzou. Don't let it get you down. Mizzou fans, go enjoy the rest of the weekend of college football. Enjoy NFL on Sunday. What's the score of the Oregon and Texas games, Payton? We go.
I think Indiana and Oklahoma are going, or Oklahoma's going to lose.
Oklahoma's going to lose. Texas. There you go. See, it could be worse. You could be a top 5-6 team getting upset by Arch Manning. So, I guess
could be better though.
It could be better. It could be better. That's true. All right. I'll stop yapping. That'll do it. Thank you, FanDuel. We will see you on Monday. Have more takeaways from Mizzou, Alabama.